There comes a time in every boss's life when you need to start increasing some pressure on your people. You need more out of them. You need them to be accountable. That's what we're talking about in these videos. And so what we're going to talk about today is a mental model around how we can increase pressure, decrease pressure to really get the optimum amount of accountability out of our people. Now, after you're done with this video, if you want a little bit more for your people, I've written a really great book. It's called Earn It. You just hand it straight to your people and it automatically increases the pressure in a really kind of funny way. So go ahead and get some copies of that. But let's now talk about the Yerkes-Dodson law. And I'm applying this to pressure right now as we're talking about accountability in your company. So the Yerkes-Dodson law goes like this. As you increase the pressure, your output is going to go up, like this. As you increase the pressure, the output goes up until it doesn't any longer. And so when we are talking about pressure, applying pressure to our people to get the optimum amount of output, what we really want to do as bosses is we really want to find this right here, this sweet spot, this apex, if you will, of accountability. Now, there's a couple of phenomenons that happen as you're trying to find this sweet spot. One of them is sometimes bosses aren't getting everything they want out of their people, and they immediately think, oh, I'm asking too much. I'm putting too much pressure on this person. When in reality, there are actually, if you look at this graph, there are actually two places where you're not getting enough productivity or output out of your people. And so I want to offer you that it might not be that you're putting too much pressure on them. It might be that you're not putting enough pressure on them. People love to achieve. They love to hit goals. They love to know that they're going to get up in the morning and go do something just a little bit tough, even if they don't say they do. And so over here, if you're not putting enough pressure on your people, this is actually entitlement. It's a big buzzword right now with entitlement. Sometimes we can apply this to parenting. We know that being a boss and being a parent, some of the skills are interchangeable. But if you're not putting enough pressure on your children to clean their room, earn money, be respectful, where do they land? We see this. They land in entitlement. So it could be if you're not getting enough performance or output out of your people, you could be not placing enough pressure on them. Now, let's go over to this other area where there's so much pressure on people that maybe they used to be performing and now they're not. So what's happening over here? When they're over here, we call that is true anxiety. And this is where you'll find people, they get sweaty, they get emotional, they get ill. So more sick days, like true legitimate sick days, not the sick days over here where you see them on Facebook at the beach when they really said they were sick. Not those kind of sick days, but they start having more chronic illnesses, even just more colds. They snap. You can start to tell that their heart rate gets elevated. So a lot of physical signs over here of true anxiety. So if you're finding as a boss, you're like, head slapper. Some of my people might be here, some of my people might be here. What do I do about it? That's what we want to know. Well, good thing for you. You already have, because you're running on EOS, so many tools at your disposal. Now we're just going to look at them in a different way of how you can dial up the pressure with these tools or dial down the pressure with these tools. So the first tool I just want to offer you, you're already using it, rocks. So every 90 days, your people sign up for, agree to, commit to 90-day high priorities. So if there is somebody over here in this anxiety level and you maybe notice that they've taken 8 giant rocks this quarter, maybe you can dial it down with the rocks and encourage them. Hey, Joe, how about just 3 this quarter? Help them dial down their commitments. Conversely, if you have somebody over here with their output, maybe entering into that entitlement, and you notice that they were like, oh, I don't know what my high priorities are. Do we really have to have rocks every quarter? Can't I just do my job, and isn't that enough? Those are some signals that we might be having some entitlement. You might challenge them to take on 2 big projects. Give them a little more pressure. This is how the company rolls forward. We all accomplish high priorities every 90 days. They're called rocks. So that's one tool you can either dial up or dial down according to what kind of output you need from your people. The next tool, we already are using it, is their role. Now, their role is right there on the accountability chart. So when you did your accountability chart, you had 5 main bullet points of what they were accountable for. Now, sometimes, as we do in entrepreneurial companies, that human being might be sitting in 3 or 4 boxes with lots of stuff on their plate as their role. Maybe the seed is too big. Maybe the seed is too small, right? Seed is too big, they might be having some anxiety. Seed is too small, they might be getting into more of that entitlement mentality. Or maybe they're just sitting in too many seats. But ask yourself, are they right? Do they GWC the role? This is a capacity issue. So their role could be something you could dial up or down. The next one here is their number. Now, we can use numbers in a variety of different ways. The main way we use numbers, too, the first one is on their scorecard. So whatever scorecard they land on, a department scorecard or a team scorecard, leadership team scorecard, there could be some numbers there. But then also remember the concept of everyone has a number. So even if they're not on a scorecard, do they have a number? Their number may be 24. I'm going to enter all of these accounts payable bills within 24 hours. That might be their number. Well, if they're having some anxiety drop right here, that's what we call when people drop off here, we call it the anxiety drop. If they're having some anxiety drop, maybe their number is just not realistic. Go ahead and look at that. Maybe their number is not realistic enough. It's like, oh my gosh, I could get that done with my eyes closed. So either increase their number, decrease their number. Go ahead and try that. The next one here is kind of broad. It's a lot of things that really land on the VTO. So core values are on the VTO. So are you really putting pressure on people to live the core values? Are they putting too much pressure on themselves to be perfect with the core values? You might find some anxiety drop. Go there. Sometimes that 10-year target freaks people out. Oh my gosh, and they think we got to do this right away, right? People over here, remind them, 10-year target, we're doing this 90 days at a time. And then again, if they're over here in entitlement, what can you say, how can you coach them to really get them excited and motivated and creating a catalyst for change around that 10-year target? So remember, there's lots of things in that VTO that you can dial up or dial down. Sometimes it's your entire leadership team that has had an anxiety drop because what we've put on our VTO is maybe just too much. Or they're feeling just a little demotivated because what we have on our VTO is not exciting and audacious enough. So just go ahead and see where you can dial that up or dial it down. Now, the last one I have for you, and you're probably, hopefully you're guessing it right now because these are really just our 5 foundational tools within EOS, is the meeting pulse. So within the meeting pulse, however often you're meeting with your teams, which we like you to meet once a week with your teams, within those meetings you're doing some really great IDS. And what I found is a lot of times we're really, really fast at IDS, so then we have a lot of to-dos. So if there's a lot of to-dos on somebody's plate, somebody maybe needs to raise their hand and say, hey, you're also working on your rocks this week, this quarter. Are there some of these to-dos that we could move to other people? Are there some to-dos that are really big, long-range projects that we could even move off to the next quarter? So go ahead and look at that. Also, if your meetings are just blah, and you're not having a lot of good conflict, you're not having a lot of good IDS around that, you might need to really increase maybe the conflict, increase the commitments, challenge your people to bring new, bigger ideas to the table, increase that pressure. So go ahead and look at these 5 tools. See what you can do to get more accountability out of your people by increasing the pressure using these tools or decreasing the pressure using these tools. See if you can hit that apex or that sweet spot of pressure to get everything you need out of your people.